Hello, this is Simpina, and this is my rumblings with Simpina. Hi. So, what basically, I was going to talk about Cyrano, but something much more interesting happened between me trying to set up to talk about Cyrano. Something popped into my mind because, it is a whole thing happening in the head. First thing that I wanted to tackle is there's this YouTube podcaster person that I follow, right? I find their content to be very, very funny. And he had this t-shirt. It's a black t-shirt. It had a Killua and Gon, the two characters there. So it was kind of like a very low-key, just almost like a badge on the chest. And I really like the shirt, right? I've been looking for it and I can't find it. Heck, I even had to use my VPN to actually put it as London because I think they're a British duo, to actually look it up and see if, okay, is it just in British stores that I can find that shirt? Still can't find it. I don't know if it's a custom thing that he did. So I thought of like sending him a message on Instagram, but I didn't want it to be mistaken as though I was sliding into his DMs, right? Fair enough, right? So what did I do instead? I have an anime Instagram page, so I chose to send him a message through my anime page and ask about the shirt. And because I didn't want it to be weird, let me tell you what I did to make it not weird. I added a PS. I know this is weird. That's why I'm using my I'm using my anime page just so it's not. That's what I said. Yeah. The first message was obviously to ask about the shirt, and then the next one was to say, my bad, it's weird, but please still reply because I am a weirdo who has an anime page and this is my content, and I just like anime, and that's why I like the shirt. So if you do see this, on the off chance that you do see this video ever, please and please, please, please respond to my message and please tell me where you got the shirt and how I can also get it. Thanks. And then the next thing is this. So my best friend and I have been having this conversation. As you can tell, this is really true to its name. It's a rambling. I'm just rambling on, okay? So we've been having this conversation, right, about sex, friends with benefits. And I go, I don't believe in friends with benefits. He goes, why? It's possible. I'm like, it is possible. It's possible when one person is not being true to their feelings. I'm curious what everyone else thinks. Hear me out. This is my theory. Sex is easy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you can't have sex with someone casually. But friends with benefits makes it, how do I put this? It pretty much is a relationship on its own. A fuck buddy is a different thing. Like in my heydays, sound like an old person. If I had a fuck buddy, right, you were literally just for fuck's sake. You know what I mean? Which means you're not texting me to ask how my day is going, how I'm doing, what did I do for the day. You have no idea what's going on in my personal life, and I prefer it that way, right? Just text me whenever you want to do the deed. Get what I mean? You just go, hey, you busy? Hey, you in the mood? Hey, you at home? Hey, I'm horny. Things like that. Text me that. But I don't want you to check on my day. Like, because this was the thing I was explaining to my friend, right? He had this girl, friends with benefit, right? And she got sick. And he spent a weekend with her, not having sex, taking care of her. And I'm just going, dude, you've crossed the line of just it being sex. You are playing the role of a boyfriend. And I understand that guys can do shit like that and it would mean nothing to them. They're just being a friend. But we women, we fall for that shit. The fact that you canceled everything else that's going on in your life for that weekend to come and be with me, I'm thinking, maybe we're going to the next step, and you're thinking I'm just being a friend to you right now. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm trying to say. We're on two different spectrums. Your idea of a friend and my idea of a friend is different. Sex complicates it. Feelings complicates it. Because sex is easy. You can have sex with anyone. If you don't care about them, you just move on with your life. If it's a friend, it's much more complicated because one, you don't want to lose the person if they're a real friend to you. On the other hand, you still want to fuck them because they're fucking attractive, right? So what do? Do you just say I'm gonna choose the friendship and not fuck them and all every time just be going through the torture of wanting to fuck them? Feel like me, you choose the latter. I mean, obviously, I can make another friend. I mean, that tells you where my loyalty stands, right? Sex is, I mean, it's important, right? You gain weight, you lose weight, you're mentally happy, you're sound, wherever you are. It helps you when you have good sex, and it's just a friend. That's why I stand with friends with benefit. Tell me what you think. I am curious about it because this is my, I hypothesize it that it is different, because and tell me, people, I have friends that say, I have a friend to benefit that, we're still friends. And I go, how often do you guys talk? Oh, we don't really talk. And they seem to only catch up once they're going through some kind of a breakup or stuff like that. Proves my point. You're not friends, because friends would reach out and talk to each other. You're just fuck buddies. And buddies is such a loose term. Buddy, like, I can go drinking in a bar and just go, hey buddy, and we never have to see each other again. That's what I mean by a fuck buddy. Just, you're no one to me but a piece of meat. If I had my way, we wouldn't even kiss during the day, just come and just, and we're done, But that just takes me away from what I wanted to actually talk about today. So I'm going to take a very, very, very slight detour to what I actually wanted to talk about today, which is my review on Cyrano. Cyrano is, it's a play that was originally written in 1690. I might be lying to you or putting you in a bottle, but I think my dates are right. and the thing about it is that it's, interestingly, there was really a Cyrano de Bergerac, and he died quite young, right? But the film, the whole story is set in the 1840s. And Cyrano is a cadet. He's a military man, right? He is, by society's standard, an ugly guy, or by his own standard, or his view of himself, he's ugly. Too ugly to be with Roxanne, the object of his affection, who he deems to be the most beautiful woman, right? In the original stories, the whole basis of him being ugly is the fact that he has this humongous, obnoxious nose, right? That's pretty much it. He is charismatic, he is poetic with his words, and he is an excellent swordsman, but he has an obnoxious nose, and so he is beating down on himself about not being good enough for Roxanne. In the newest edition, which is what introduced me to the story of Cyrano, and doing my research and reading and watching stuff, and it's interesting. They've had adaptations of Cyrano as a play over the course of the years. As I think I read somewhere that even Shakespeare did a version of one of the acts. It's just like, it's 1950s and this and that and up to like 2021, where we have the most recent play, and before then it was 1990, which was, and the thing is, it's a French story. It's based in France. All the originals are in French, and so if you are like me and you've been trying to study French your whole life and still can't speak a lick of it, and so you just want to punish yourself for the piece of shit you are, you watch it in French with no subtitles and not understand a word that's going on, you know? Just get a random manger and then go, yes, eat, you know? Anyways, but what I liked about in this new adaptation of 2021, it was the main character is played by Peter Dinklage. If you know him, you know him. And it's interesting because it was his wife that directed it. So, but in this adaptation, he doesn't have a large nose. He doesn't have an obnoxious nose. He is a little person. That is what makes him insecure about himself, or that's what makes him think that society is not going to accept him as a good-looking man. And let's be honest, Peter Dinklage is a handsome man, right? We have that established and we're going to move on, right? Okay. So the story follows Cyrano having this object of his affection, Roxanne, who he's known for the most part of his life, right? And he's loved her for so long, but he's never said anything for fear that it wouldn't be reciprocated because he's ugly and he's just not good enough for her. These are his thoughts. And so he doesn't say anything. Somewhere along the line, Roxanne meets Christian, and it's almost like love at first sight, right? And you know, she tells her friend, her close friend, Cyrano, and even gives him an assignment. You know, tell Christian to write to me, and you know, so he does. He finds Christian, who is like a new recruit and joining the military for the first time, and tells him, you know, Roxanne loves you and she would like you to write. And he's so surprised. He's like, I didn't think I was worthy of a girl like that. I didn't think she liked me, but you know, she likes me. But the problem is I can't write. He was raised by a military father who had the opinion that a man must be strong and you have no need for words in the battlefield, basically. So he doesn't, he's stumped, and so Cyrano comes up with a genius idea to write the letters on behalf of Christian. After all, you have to think he is always loved this woman. He has all these words pouring out of him that he would like to say to her, and he's a poet. He is a maestro with words, right? So he writes the letters and things are going smoothly, so smooth that Christian feels as though he no longer needs Cyrano. So he takes Cyrano out of the mix, right? He tries to go talk to Roxanne on his own, and it is catastrophic how much he failed, because what ended up happening was that, you know, he's still not good with words. I don't know whether he thought somehow she's gonna meet him in person and decide, you know what, fuck all those letters that I was receiving. You don't have to say anything. So he starts with this spewing this, which is what it's very, very cliched even in today's world, where people just use that word I love you just so loosely. It's like, oh, I love you, and she's just so furious. You have to think she is considered the most beautiful woman, or one of the most beautiful women in the town. There are men fawning over her, right? And she has people dropping that line every other day about how they love her, but she wants someone with more substance than just saying I love her, which makes me think of that scene in Closer with Jude Law and Natalie Portman, where he says I love you and she goes, where, how, show me, you know, I need it, show me, you're saying it, I can hear you, but I can't feel it and I can't touch it, you know, which is very, very sweet, because in the play they had a little singing thing, because it's a musical. They had a song there where they put it was I Need More, and it's in my playlist and I listen to it all the time, and it's just I need more, and the lines just goes along the line of, don't you dare tell me you love me. I've heard that line before, you know. And when I heard it, I'll be honest with you, I thought she said I've heard that line before. It tells you what I was going through in the moment, but it was actually, I've heard that line before. So he fucked up, and then now he has to tag his tail between his legs and come back to Cyrano for Cyrano to help him. And there's a very sweet moment where it's very delicate and vulnerable, where Cyrano is in the dark. Roxanne, they're talking in the dark, and Roxanne thinks she's talking to Christian, but she's talking to Cyrano, and he's pouring out his heart and his insecurities and why he doesn't think he's enough for her, and it's his words to her, right? And she's also pouring her words out, and they have such a sweet moment, and then Christian asks to kiss Roxanne and goes in for the kiss. Roxanne finds out that the general has sent a priest. She's going to get married that night. She doesn't want to get married to that person. She's deemed herself. She's decided she's in love with Christian and decides to marry Christian. And the general comes, realizes the woman he wanted to marry is married to someone else. There's nothing he can do. In anger, he puts Christian in the forefront of the war. Again, Roxanne asks Christian, Cyrano, can you make sure he's safe and have him write me a letter all the time? And again, Cyrano goes and trying to keep an eye on Christian, and the whole time he's writing a letter to Roxanne every single day, and Christian finds out, and he goes, "Are you in love with her?" And he says, "Yeah." And Christian is so pissed, he runs out, gets killed. Cyrano stays in the war ends, he comes back with mortal injuries, but he's still writing letters every day to Roxanne. This time he's not giving it to her because he doesn't have a vessel through which he can give it, but he has all these letters for Roxanne, and he still hangs out with Roxanne, so he goes to go see her, and I guess he feels as though this is his last day on earth, and he says, the last letter you received from Christian, you said, one day you would let me see it, and so she gives the letter to Cyrano, and Cyrano is reading, and at some point he just folds the paper, and he's still saying the words with so much passion, and Roxanne is looking at him, and she figures it out. She says, you're not reading, you're remembering. And she realizes she's been in love with the person who was saying those words to her all along, and she's so angry but still happy to know that her lover isn't dead, right? And then Cyrano falls down. He's about to die, and he's happy even in that moment when he's about to die. I guess it may feel a little bit silly, and she's asking him, "Don't you dare die on me. I love you, Cyrano. I love you, Cyrano." And they exchange a passionate kiss, and they sing, and they're crying, and he dies, and it ends. I want you to bear in mind, when I watched it, every single time I've watched Cyrano this year, it's been on a flight. I watch it on a flight, and I'm sitting there just bawling my eyes out like I have no pride, right? And I love this movie, and the main reason why I love it, I think it has a lot of relatability to it. Who can't relate to it, to that, having someone so dear to you that you're worried that you might sabotage it if you say something, or that you're not good enough because you think the world of this person. You can't imagine a world in which you would be enough for them, and it has nothing to do with you don't love yourself enough. It's just sometimes the people that you just hold to a very high regard, and sometimes you can't help but wonder, what if I break their heart? You know what I mean? Which makes me also think of that movie, Love, Rosie. I'm telling you, that and its book, Where Rainbows End. I mean, when you think of Love, Rosie, and you actually read the book, and you realize that they were separated for 45 years, not 12 years. 12 years is a lot. 45 years is much, much longer for you to be in love with someone and keep missing your mark, right? It makes me wonder, is passion like that dead? Is love like that? Does it really exist, or does it just exist on pages? Like, that's something I think about, because I'm still so much of an old soul, right? I still like to leave little cute notes and, you know, trinkets and stuff like that for my husband, just let him know how much I love him, right? And that becomes a problem because you don't get stuff like that back, even though you like stuff back like that, and you just keep getting mad, and that's the whole thing, But I just thought it was so relatable because I've had that before in my life where I loved someone, um, or at least I thought I loved someone, but I thought our friendship was more important. I thought what they wanted from me in that moment was a friendship, and they hadn't said anything or hinted towards anything that seemed as though they wanted anything more. But they kept saying, you're my best friend, and so I took that best friend role very importantly, and I would have to say it's one of the most painful moments in my life because I'm watching them be happy with someone else when all I want to do is to be with them. And that sucks. Now I'm in therapy and I keep thinking, I go, what is wrong with me? What makes me think it's okay for my happiness to be second place to someone else? And throughout life, with everything that's happened in heartbreaks and unrequited love and all that, the one thing that has stayed constant for me is the fact that I do love the fact that I'm a romantic. I do love the fact that I love wholeheartedly, almost like I breathe you in kind of thing, like you're the very essence of my existence. And it's very toxic, I would admit, but I think I'm okay with getting my heart broken on the off chance that one day I will meet that one person that would love me the same way I love them. That's all I want. I make good money with my job. I mean, I'm not rich or anything, but I make enough to be happy with what I have. I don't require a lot in life. It doesn't take much to make me happy. It's just basically just someone that meets me on that level. And in the case of Roxanne, where her thing is more so letters and words, I like that too. And much more than that, it's, think about it. To write someone a letter every day, 365 days, you're writing 365 letters. Have you ever tried to write an essay and you just brain fart? Multiply that number by 5 years, 10 years. The fact that and you're in the middle of the battlefield and this person is still on your mind. And nowadays, we're in relationships and guys say stuff like, I've been so busy, and it's not enough anymore. It's like, you are. Someone is in the middle of a war still thinking about someone. You don't need to be free to think about someone. I mean, thoughts just pop into your mind. You don't need to take a day off or time off anything you're doing to think about someone. It's a very, very shitty excuse if you ask me. But I'm just saying, you do not understand the depth of love you must have for someone, where words, you don't run out of words explaining and declaring that love to that person. Like, I tried it. I tried to write a letter every day, right? And the first day it was this long paragraph. The next day it was getting shorter and shorter, and it's just, and it's not like I don't have, it's not like I don't feel that way about the person. I just don't have the power of words to articulate it that well. And the thing you have to think about it is, it has to be a different thing every day, or else you're just going to be bored reading the same thing over and over again. It's coming up with new ideas every single day to describe how you feel about this person, right? I think it's the most romantic thing ever, right? It falls along the lines of Rory waiting all those years, 2,000 years, I believe, for Emily Pond right at that cube, even though he had become like a cyborg, just waiting, protecting the love of his life who was in that cube. It's not realistic, and yeah, maybe I need some help with my love life because I have unrealistic expectations. But do remember, I am married. But still, it's the sacrifice of it. I mean, all these things are extreme forms, but isn't that what we all want? Someone who would be there for us, come what may, like, be it a storm, be it financial struggle, be it whatever, they will stick with you, they will be there with you, they will be content with just having you because you're enough. I really like it. Um, and much like Cyrano and La Rosie, or Where the Rainbow Ends, um, it makes you realize that there's no statute of limitations, there's no time period to how long you love someone. You might fall in love with someone else you might think you fell in love with someone else along the way. You might try to pursue a whole family, you know, have kids, but there's always still that one person that you know you would drop everything for just to have them in your life. And I know, is it unrealistic? I mean, on one hand, I don't believe the idea of there's just one person for you, but there's just some people that you fall in love with in a very deep sense, where it just seems as though, I don't know if you guys have ever heard this saying by Aristotle, where he says, love is composed of a single soul inhabiting two bodies, and that's how I would explain this, where to me it seems as though it's the soul, it's in two bodies, but all it wants to do is to just come back together and be one. So you might meet other people that still give you that warmth, but your soul still wants to be with its other half. And sometimes you just keep searching till that happens. And I know someone is going to absolutely rip this and have a whole theory about why I'm wrong or not, but I work in a hospital, I have patients, and I talk to them every once in a while, and I've realized that sometimes I talk to couples that have been married for 30 years and 40 years, and they're not in love. And don't get me wrong, I know from being married that it's not love that holds a marriage, which is the reason why I still keep trashing that friends with benefit theory. Because when you wake up in the middle of the night to go pee and you waddling in the dark, to not wake up your significant other, and you go to the toilet and you sit down, and you almost sink in because you didn't put that seat down. The hatred that flashes in your mind and in your eyes, it's not love. It's your vows to each other that keeps you together. It's not necessarily love. It's not the same love you had from day one when you were all it's not that all the time. I mean, you love them, but are you in love with them every single day? I don't know about that, right? Which is my whole theory that's what's part of my theory for friends with benefits. It's having that same friendship you would have with it. What holds a marriage is a friendship. We are friends. You care about me. I trust you. You're honest with me. We're a team. That's what holds a marriage. That's what keeps a marriage, right? It's not the feelings and stuff like that. But the point is, so I'm realistic in that sense, and I can be honest about that. But I talk to people and they just go, I'll be honest with you, if I didn't have a kid within my first 2 years or first 5 years of being married, I probably shouldn't have been with this person. And it's not because of love, it's because at some point they realize, and they will all say, like, we have different interests. And I know people say, it doesn't matter if you have different interests, it matters if you want to be with that person. Because the most recent patient I spoke with, her whole point was that she loves to travel. She's always loved to travel. 40 years being married. She's married to a man who doesn't even want to compromise and travel with her. She gave up her love for traveling, and she's not asking to be a nomad. She just, once a year, let's just take a trip. That turns into resentment, where in 40 years she's in my hospital in a bed talking to me, a stranger for all intents and purposes. She might never see me again until she's admitted again, right? And she's telling me, you're still young. Open your eyes, see these things. And she's thinking of all these moments she missed out on. There's no limitation to how long you can love someone. And sometimes things are embellished. I understand that when you're with someone, you think the world of them, and then you start dating them and realize they're a complete horror story. So what do? Venture. If you love someone, you're both single, your friends, stop hiding under the illusion of friendship. Say it. What's the worst thing that could happen? That they wouldn't love you back? I tell you, that is not the worst thing. The worst thing is you waiting around, not knowing and thinking you have a shot when you actually don't. Thinking that one day they'll notice, and one day they might feel this way about me too. Believe me, that is the worst thing. Put yourself out there. Say it. That way you can move on with your life. They don't like you, that it's just a friendship, and you decide if a friendship is what you want. If a friendship isn't, heal your broken hearts and move on. Because I've done it in high school, the majority of my adult life, holding on to some hope, enough to wait years. And the funny thing is, I would have waited even longer. It's just sometimes you have to decide what's more important to you. If they are that worth it to you that you'd much rather just wait in the dark, not knowing what would ever happen, kudos to you. But do you want to be Cyrano? I mean, I guess he was still happy in his last moments. He was very happy in his last moments. He planned to do it like 10 seconds. Would you much rather live your whole life waiting for those 10 seconds at the end of your life, or would you just risk it and potentially enjoy all your years with that person? Or not. Just know that they don't feel that way about you. And that's another thing, like sometimes our own insecurities keep us out of the way. For example, she didn't even care about how Cyrano looked. She didn't care about the nose. She didn't care about him being a little person. Her thing was words, and that's all. She just wanted someone who would just cheer her up and take her out of the misery of the shittiness of the real world. Just put her in this story. That's what she wanted. Someone that thought the world of her and wasn't shy to come up with words or explain how they felt, But I know I've gone way longer than I thought I would. My recommendation, please watch Cyrano. I know if you're a Broadway person, you probably didn't like it, because I saw some of the reviews from people from Broadway. Some people didn't like the fact that I didn't really stay true to the source material. Let's be honest, if it was going to stay true to the source material, it would be in French, so let's not nitpick too much. The fact that it was a little person instead of an obnoxious nose, it makes no difference. It's still a story, and it was interesting. The fact that Peter Dinklage didn't really sing, he more so recited words. This is his first try at Broadway. He's not by any chance a musician. I think he did a phenomenal job. I mean, if I didn't see the review, I didn't even think anything about how he sung in the movies. I thought it worked well for the piece. I mean, I loved it. And I'm going to say this at the end, just take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I am in no way like a professional movie critique or counselor or something like that. In fact, one of my favorite movies of all time is Black Lantern. Green Lantern. I have, in modern days when I watch it, the only thing I'm like, maybe, the video graphic didn't really age well, could have done something much better with the CGI and stuff like that. But I'm like, but I still like it. But I mean, and trust me, I'm a fan of Ryan Reynolds. Back when I didn't really know much about Ryan Reynolds. I watched it because I love Blake Lively. I know. I watched a superhero movie for the love interest. Yeah, I love Blake Lively that much. But now that I'm a fan of Ryan Reynolds by association because he's married to an absolute goddess, he hates the movie. He feels as though it was not good. But I'm like, I don't get it. And I keep, every single time I see an interview where he talks about it, or even when I watch Deadpool and he goes to shoot himself, I'm going, what really sucked about this movie? And I watch it again and I'm just going, I love this movie. I mean, granted, pretty much, I mean, I would say there are pretty few movies that I would say are horrible to me. If you have a storyline and it can hold a cup of water, that's it. That goes back to what I was saying. Doesn't really take much to make me happy. Anyways, thank you very much for joining this and listening. I'm really, really curious what you think about the friends with benefits versus a fuck buddy, if it makes sense. Also, I am very, very excited for you if you're gonna give Cyrano a try. If you're looking to watch it somewhere, I think Vudu is the only place that I know that has it. If you travel a lot like I do, then you probably would watch it on one of your flights, unless you take a flight with a cheap airline that doesn't even allow you to watch a movie on it. Not that I'm shaming you or anything, but really seriously, what are you doing with your life? Invest into your flights. All right, have a good day and thank you.